You're watching The Edward Fowler Show. Now, here's your host, Edward Fowler.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my show here on youtube.com/my channel. This is Sunday night. It is May the 28th, 2024. And this guest followed me on Twitter to begin with when I was promoting another guest of mine called Cara Connolly. And you followed me on my social media, so I thought, why not have you on the show as well? So you've got a big following and you're doing some exciting projects. So it's a privilege to welcome on an award-winning actor called James Quinn. Welcome to my show this evening. How are you doing?
Edward, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to doing the show with you, man.
Yes, no, thank you for being so professional with your setup, by the way. As I was saying to my guests offline, I have a technical issue with my my microphone again. I thought I got it fixed because I got a new wire and everything, but I still do have a bit of an issue this week. But no, it's a privilege to have me on the show, and if you don't mind me asking, whereabouts are you in the US at the moment?
So I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that's where I'm at currently right now. Home for the weekend, got a little time to myself. So the sun's out today. I was taking advantage of that this morning.
Good, good. Well, I'm glad everything's going well in good old Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for you on this lovely Sunday. And I like the room you've got behind you as well, with lots of great pictures and memorabilia in there. And every time you come into this room, then what's the first thing you think of the first memory you think of when you come into that room?
Oh man, I probably go back and I think of a lot of the wrestling days. Probably the 1980s, Roddy Piper cage match, the Iron Man match. I don't know if you can see that. I have that on my wall behind me between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. That's one that comes into my mind every time I walk in. It's a 16 by 20 poster signed by both of them. So that's a great memory for me.
Oh, that's cool. And yeah, you got some great memorabilia for sure, and a great collection as well. I like it. So you're an actor by day, but you also you interact with a lot of wrestlers and a lot of interesting people. And how is that like for you? Was that always one of your goals when you got into this type of work?
It's funny because I've always, on top of being an actor and loving film and television, I've always been a huge wrestling fan. So it's just kind of wild how the two have kind of found their way to each other. That wasn't necessarily the goal. But I guess when you have a love that's strong for, a few different areas, they're bound to intertwine, throughout your journey. And that's what it's been for me, at least for the past decade or so. We've crossed paths with, a lot of past and current wrestlers and that love, acting too and doing film. And so we have a lot of, common goals.
Yeah.
We found that we're kind of on the same journey and on the same path.
No, absolutely. I think that's great because it's great that you're able to bring both sides of things from the wrestling world and the acting world together to be able to cross paths. It is very cool to see.
It is. It's it's kind of a surreal moment at times too, when sometimes some of the things from your past, come in and you get to work around some people like Roddy Piper. I worked with him back in 2013.
Yeah.
And that was a really surreal moment because there's somebody I grew up on. Never do you think you're actually going to work with them, right?
So I bet that was like a dream come true. Get to meet one of your heroes when you were growing up. I know you've also worked with, like, for instance, James Storm as well. I bet he was fun to work with.
Oh, James is a great time, man. Real good guy, fantastic actor, got great energy. Really takes his craft passionate the same as he does his wrestling. He puts the same energy into film, man, and we had a great time together.
That's cool. Because I know we had I had on one of his former tag partners on a few years ago called Chris Harris from his time as the America's Most
The Wildcat, yeah.
Yeah. I was good. He's also a good guy as well from my interaction with him. But yes. I mean, you've got a fantastic current film out, which is called Checkmate, which is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. The reason I mention that is because of the fact that people over here can hopefully catch it on Amazon Prime as well.
Yes.
Without giving too much away, how was it like making that film?
It was a lot of fun. It was very physically demanding. We shot that all over. Actually, we shot that in my hometown, all over Pittsburgh. We pretty much tore up the streets of Pittsburgh and all the surrounding areas for a little over a month, and it was a great time. But it was action packed. So there was a lot of fight sequences and a lot of high energy moments, and gun chases, and running through the streets of Pittsburgh, police car chases. It took a lot out of you physically, but I think the end result speaks for itself. It's a beautifully shot film.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think as well, a lot of people love those kind of movies. I know I do. I love it. All there's loads of action, a lot of things going on to keep you engaged. Because a lot of films out there right now, which draw you in, but then when you watch it, you get kind of bored, and it's not really your cup of tea. But these kind of films, if you've been in, Checkmate, for instance, just shows that there's a lot of things to keep you engaged to keep you watching till the end.
That's key, man. It's really hard. That's our goal, is to keep people engaged the whole time. And a lot of people, do get bored within the first 5 minutes of a movie. So we're trying to find ways all the time to keep people engaged throughout. And then that's, I think, our toughest challenge as an actor and a filmmaker.
No, most definitely, I agree with you there, because I guess when you first started being in films and making films, I guess back then it was a bit easier to get people to watch and to keep in tune. While nowadays there's so many different options out there now, isn't there? And it's very hard to get viewers to watch your particular film you're in, or even films you are making and whatnot, to keep their engagement, because there's so many other options out there to tune into, or even similar films out there to watch. So I bet it's quite harder now, isn't it? I guess from probably when 30 years ago, I guess, to attract people.
Yeah, I mean, the game's more or less the same, but the way we go about it sometimes is different. And there's pros and cons to it. It is really tough to keep people engaged because they have so many options. But we're also out there a lot more, than the average actor used to be. You can find your work all over the place, and if you're streaming on, like you said, Prime Video or Tubi or Netflix, or there's so many streaming options out there. So that gives people a lot of options really to view your work too. But it also gives people a lot of options to change the channel. So there are a lot of pros and cons to it.
Well, we hope nobody changes any channels on your films you're in, or films you're making, because
well, thank you.
That's not good. We like for people to make sure that they actually tune in and to see what you make of, and then make their own decisions about it, because it might not be always somebody's cup of tea, but you never know, they might be drawn in at the end of it.
That's true, man. And it's everybody's prerogative what they like and what they don't like. But I mean, I think I've gotten a lot of good feedback over the years. I've been very fortunate. You get some that maybe somebody's not happy with, but that's any endeavor. That's any sporting event. That's any entertainment industry. Anything you do in life. So we just put yourself out there and just hope for the best results.
No, I agree, because like you say, because you can't always please everybody. It's not everyone's cup of tea, is it? So but you just do your hardest and make everything happen as you can.
That's it, 100%, man. You just give everything you got, and the results, they'll come. They do come. And I've met a lot of wonderful people along the way. So, we're doing something right. We're always, each year we're progressing, and we're climbing that ladder, and we're out there more and more.
Good. Well, I hope it continues for you for many more months and years to come. And I guess as well, do you prefer making short films than maybe a short series, or do you make them both? Or
I enjoy all aspects of it. I have made quite a few short films over the years, and a lot of which I've enjoyed thoroughly. But I do probably prefer doing television or feature films, just because there's a higher chance of distribution and getting your work out there. But that's not knocking a short film, because we make them for a reason. A lot of times we use them as something to pitch toward what we further want to do with it. You make a short because you want to see it turn into a feature, or you want to see it turn into a television series. And so, you do the film festival thing, you pitch it to all the right people and hope for the best on it. So we go into it with the same passion. We've done really well with short films over the years. So I have a lot of respect for what we do there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you there. And because I guess with short films, there's more you can put into it than a short, I guess, TV, because of the fact that you have to keep building and keep having cliffhangers to keep people coming back every week. While in the film, you got 2 or 4 hours, depending how long the film is, to keep them engaged the entire time, and whether you want to put into ongoing, so take loads of cuts and there's all that business. But I mean, I guess films and TV shows probably take roughly around the same time, or a bit longer for films, I guess, because of the situations and the environment you need to get the best shots possible.
This is true, yeah, and it just takes a lot more time. It's a lot more time consuming, and in some ways, actually, a short film can be a little more challenging because you have a lot less time to tell a full story.
Right.
So instead of having 90 minutes to tell the story, from beginning to the end, and to keep people engaged, you might be working with 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And so you want to make sure that you have some type of ending that draws people in, that they want to see more. And sometimes that can be a little more challenging to be able to tell that story in a short period of time.
No, I agree with you. What is it like who would you say is some of the people you enjoy collabing with so far then, from the past projects you've been involved in then? Who's been some of your favorite people before you get the chance to work with, and you have?
Man, I've been so fortunate to work with some wonderful people. Michael Caine, the man, he's just a fountain of knowledge, and he's a legend. I don't can't really refer to him as a man. He's
the goat.
More than human, right? Yeah. And just to breathe that knowledge off of him, man, that was something special for me. I've worked with a lot of greats. I also work with like Nicholas Guest, who's a very good friend of mine. He was in Christmas Vacation, Trading Places. So much knowledge here. The man teaches as he goes. I had a fantastic time with him. Like I said, working with Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Over the years, just Chris Denham, who was in Billions. I've worked with, just been very fortunate to work with so many wonderful people in the industry that sometimes don't even get enough credit for just how wonderful they are, because they're not only actors, they're teachers. And you learn from them. You absorb, just from being there. You absorb that energy, and and that's just something you can't put a price on. Working with a lot of the wrestlers from my past and current and present, that's been a great time for me, collaborating in that that fashion. But there's been just so many wonderful people to get to work with, and there's so many you want to work with still, so you keep that ambition going and keep climbing that ladder, and before you know, you're bumping shoulders with people you never thought you'd see, that you grew up idolizing, just enjoying their work.
Well, speaking about that, is there who is on your list to hopefully work / collaborate with that as well? Because I bet you got a cool list.
I do. Some I'll never get to, just because they've moved, they've passed on, and things like that. But at the top of my list would be Michael Keaton. Okay. Michael Keaton's from my hometown of Pittsburgh, and he's just at the top of my Mount Rushmore in film to try to work with. The man's just fantastic, the way he can tell a story with a facial expression or body language. It's just something that not everybody can do, man. He's very unique with that. I grew up a huge Humphrey Bogart fan. Will never get to work with him, but that's just somebody that I just loved going back and watching everything he did, back in the 1940s and early 50s. Brought so much to the table, changed the game in so many ways, made film noir what it is. But there's a lot of people. Michael J. Fox. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. I would love to work with that man someday, just because he's just, in the 80s and 90s, he just did so much to where he was in a league of his own.
Yeah.
He just brought so much energy to the table, man. Another one, again, we're talking facial expressions, body language. They don't always have to be talking to tell a story. And that's kind of what I've been drawn to. Bruce Willis, another one, I don't think I'll get to work with, because I know he's having a lot of problems, God bless him, but he's done so much fantastic stuff that just to see him, the way he does things with his body and his facial expressions too, and his eyes and his mind, he just, he knows that, less is more. That's the old additive, right? And they can do so much without even speaking sometimes.
Well,
yeah, so many.
well, what I was going to say is because Michael J. Fox recently came out and said that he's now kind of unretired from acting. He did retire because of his own health issues and such, but now it looks like he's wanting to get back out there again, which is great to see. And of course, you mentioned
Fantastic.
about the other actor you mentioned as well there, who of course is terminally ill now, isn't he? So it's quite sad. But I guess
Right.
Bill Willis. But I mean, you can as well go
Sure.
back and watch those films and TV shows they've been in and just take things from it, can't you? And use them in your own techniques and keep their spirits alive.
100%, man, and that's what it is. It's just keeping that energy that they brought to the table, not forgetting what they did because they carved the way for us. And if you can take some of that energy that they did, and keep them alive by using something of that, by adapting that to your style or your story, that's like you see it even today. There's so many actors that can do these things that they do because of what Humphrey Bogart did back in the 1940s and 50s and even the 30s. You know what I mean? He just changed the game. I mean, he was just so unique in the things that he did. So keeping their energy and keeping it alive and well and their legacy. And I think that's a big deal, man. They brought a lot to the table, and that's respectful, Matthew McConaughey I've worked with, he's just fantastic, man. The guy does so many wonderful things, he's so positive, and you just can't help but, absorb that energy, right? There's not enough positive sometimes in the business, and it's nice to see people that way.
No, absolutely is, and I can't disagree with you on any points, on any point at all for you. But I mean, you got a new film in the works called The Consumer. And I've seen the trailer for it on your social media. Posted a great trailer of that. How did that all come about, and everything like that? And what do you think the reaction has been based off the trailer so far?
In the trailer, so if people have taken to the trailer, the trailer is an homage to the past. So if you've seen the trailer, it looks like something that you would see in the 1940s or 50s.
Yes.
My love for film noir, I think, is how that came about. I actually am the writer on that. Good friend of mine, Julie O'Neill's the director, and her and I are, lead acting together in this film. But we wanted to just see some film noir and bring it to life again, and to do it in black and white, because sometimes I know people think that's a thing of the past, but sometimes it's so beautiful to see something in black and white. You see it so much different than you see in color. You can see expression through black and white better sometimes than you can see in colors. And you can see really all that fine detail and what people are feeling and their emotions, and it's really told a whole different way through black and white. It's a wonderful life, great Christmas movie that people watch for generations. The only way I'll watch it is in black and white because it just tells the story so much. But you see their energy, you feel that energy, I should say, a lot more through that black and white, and you can see their expression so much more than you do in color. If you look at it, it's like night and day sometimes. So every now and again, it's just nice to go back to where things all started, just to be able to tell a story again. And I think with The Consumer, that's kind of what we were going for. We modernized it, so you have cell phones and you have modern technology and things like that, but it's still shot with the same type of body language and then the black and white look, the same type of expression, or some of the sayings and slang that you would hear back in the 1940s and 50s, just so that we kind of meshed the two up. That was kind of our goal, was to bring the past into the present.
I like that because again, you don't see that very often nowadays. You may see maybe a scene or something done in black and white, but most of it now, because of color and how much things have improved technology wise over the past 60, 70 years, it's like CGI, for instance, has gone way out the window, hasn't it, nowadays? And it's just mad how good it looks, so real type thing now compared to 30 years ago when you could still tell, oh yeah, that was photoshopped in or whatever, but it's just improved so much, doesn't it? But yeah,
big time.
I mean, as well, because black and white, speaking about black and white, then was it quite easy to bring it in? I guess because of the fact that it's in color, you have to, I guess, use some kind of technology to make it back to black and white. And was that quite costly, or was it just as simple as it's in color, basically, with the clocks back to black and white?
Yeah, I mean, it can be time consuming just to get the look just right. So basically what we do these days is we shoot it in color and then we filter it back to black and white because it's a lot easier to do. Actually, sometimes it's a little better in post to do that. because when you're dealing with color, and it's beautiful to keep things in color. That's why we do it these days. There's so much time spent in post-production on color correction. People don't realize just how much. Sometimes you spend just more time on that than you did actually filming the movie, just to get that, just to get that focus and that color right. There's a lot of work that goes into that. So, but it's challenging on the black and white. But it's easier to dial it back from color to black and white, and then you really just see a whole different story.
I guess because of the fact that because there's less colors to worry about, less shadows and everything like that, so it's more, I guess, easier to work with my person.
Right.
And I guess as well, less time to spend on making sure everything looks white compared to a color where you got to make sure everything looks in sync and not one color is looking brighter or better than the other, and there's no contrast as well, isn't there?
Correct. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, it's sometimes you can't get that color just right. All of a sudden you went from red to brown, and so you're just trying to get it back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And, just to get that good cinematic look.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. You don't want that, do you?
No, it can be challenging, man. But we've all been there. We've all had those oops moments, right?
No, absolutely. I agree.
But trial and error is how you learn.
Yes. That's very true. Very true. We had a great film producer on this show a few years ago called Michael Rossi. I think that's how you pronounce his second name. And he does a lot of indie films and series, and he was talking about budgets, because some budgets are quite high and sometimes they're not as high compared to the films. And how are your budgets? Do you have a lot of budget to work with depending on the project you're wanting to bring to the table, or it just depends on who's available and what the situation is for your project?
Yeah, it really is quite situational. Sometimes right out the gate you have a budget. X, Y, and Z is in play, right? You have a producer come to you and said, "Hey, here's the story. This is the actor we want. This is where we want to shoot it. This is our budget. Let's make it happen." Now that's an ideal situation. It's not always the situation. Sometimes you start from scratch with little to no budget, and then you're trying to mingle and mix with different investors and try to pitch your ideas, and they do the same thing at the Hollywood level. I've got to do it at both levels, so it's always the same game, and sometimes with a different financial level.
Yeah,
you need to know what you're shooting your film for, what it's going to take to get it done from A to Z, and sometimes those budgets are there and sometimes they're not. And so you have to make up for it in other areas when you don't necessarily have the budget you wanted to complete it with. But if you got a lot of passionate people with you and you can save in certain areas, there's always a lot of tricks on the independent side too, to make it look like your budget's a lot more than it is. And I think that's the key sometimes if you're dealing with let's say $50,000 budget, you want to make it look like you had a $250,000 budget, and you can do that by shooting with a lot of local actors and having a lot of favors done with locations and things like that, and finding some very unique locations, and having a very good cinematographer with you is key, and having great sound quality is key. You can't make a good project if you don't have that. Cinematography and sound, they can't take a back seat. You have to have the right people for that.
No, I agree there, but as well, you mentioned about making a $250,000 film using, not as the budget, like the actual equipment used, not able to do that, right. but making it like to the fan watching it that it was done with that kind of equipment. It wasn't like mobile phones nowadays, because you can do a lot on mobile phones than you need a professional camera for now, because most of the tricks you can do on those, it is really good as well. Just tell you how much mobile phones have come a long way. Same with like software as well, because you can get some of these softwares for like £30 or £40, whatever, instead of getting those, Hollywood type production. You can just do it on a software that's a lot cheaper, but gives up the same result as well.
It can, yeah. And if you have a lot of experienced people with you, you'd be surprised what they can do with the minimal.
Yeah.
It's just making it, and it's fantastic, because a lot of times if it is an independent project, even if you have a $200,000 budget, you probably wanted $5. You know what I mean? So you don't always have the budget that you would wish you had. And so the key is to make it, make that quality look more than twice what it was, and sometimes in some cases more, and having a lot of passionate people involved and educated people that are experienced, people that have the same goals in mind as you, and you can really, accomplish that when you have the right people with you.
No, I agree, and I guess as well, because you've had, as you said before, you've seen it on both sides of the table. So it means you get to. I mean, you're quite one of the lucky people who get to see what independent filmmakers go through, and writers and whatnot, and Hollywood writers and filmmakers go through. So is there a particular preference you prefer, or do you prefer being able to have a bit more say in from an independence standpoint, of being a bit more freedom than maybe a Hollywood type person would have?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. It's hard to say because first and foremost, I'm an actor. I turned into a filmmaker by necessity because we wanted to see more passionate projects and some things that didn't look, to us like they were being recycled. We wanted to try something unique,
Yeah.
and that's the toughest part is finding, something that's unique out there. But I think the goal was always, to do as much as you can at the Hollywood level. It's nice having say in it, but I think, getting the most eyes on your work is always the goal. But I've cut my teeth on the independents. That's how I've made my name climbing the ladder, and so I will always have the most respect for that, and I'll continue to do them for as long as I can. I enjoy them. I think it's the playing field's been leveled for some time now in terms of getting your work out there and being seen. So a lot of independents are rising a lot easier. Not so much I shouldn't use the word easier because there's nothing easy about it, but they're definitely climbing the ladder a little more efficiently than they would have 20 years ago, because it was just the top guys that were really getting that recognition. Now, like I said, the playing field's leveled and your work's out there, and it's the same thing with pro wrestling. If you watch independents, there's so many independents that are out there now that 20 years ago they would have only known what the WWF was or the NWA, and there's just so many great independent promotions that are putting out quality work now that I think that playing field's been leveled now to where everybody can get their work out there if you really want to.
Yeah, and on that point about the filmmakers getting their work out more easy, more accessible, I think is the right word to use, because of the fact that there's easier places to post. You've got Vimeo, you've got YouTube, you've even got TikTok as well. That might be getting banned, however, but for right this moment, no. TikTok, Instagram.
That's what I hear.
You're able to post content and teasers and even the series on those platforms, even on some other like adult streaming platforms. I think they exist as well somewhere out there, where like a film website or something where you can post your own content on. I think I've seen something like that, a bit similar to like Vimeo is. So as you say, it's much more accessible.
It is, man, and it's so great to have. Like, social media can be a wonderful outlet if you use it like a professional. You're being able to interact with other actors and other entertainment professionals and fans, you know what I mean, in a way that you couldn't act in the 90s. You weren't able to interact with people like that. Now you can interact with your fans daily. You can interact with, other people in the industry. And that's a really cool thing. And that's a way to really, keep yourself out there and to continue to develop your skills and to meet a lot of fresh people that you want to work with and that want to work with you. Because you present yourself like a professional and you're putting out quality work, and people are getting to see that all over the world now, which is fantastic.
Yes, for good or bad. Good or bad.
I mean, hence you and I sitting down together right now.
I know,
right?
Yes. So the power of technology. I really appreciate, by the way, your time this afternoon, because I don't know how you came across my social media, but I would love to know how you did. Was it through the because when I posted about Cara Conley coming on the show, then about after I think she retweeted or something, and you followed me then, so that's how I came across your follow.
I think that might have been how I saw it, Edward. I think it might. I want to say it was probably Cara's interview with you, right. And it looked like you guys were having a good time, and it was really well done. So I was like, I'm gonna like that. So if I see something that looked like it was well done or people put their heart into it, I like it, and I'll follow them and continue to watch them grow, their craft as well. And I think that's kind of what happened there.
Cool.
Cara's been doing some wonderful things, and you guys had a great interview together.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's where that came to play, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thank you for that, and I'm glad that you did come across my work and my great conversation with Cara. And hopefully you've had a chance to maybe check out a few other conversations. Means you get a bit of a vibe that is not a one-time thing you saw. That is a continuation of it throughout the different conversations on this channel.
No, I look forward to seeing a lot more conversations. It looks like you put a lot of passion into your work, Edward, and I can respect that, and you have it looks like you have a wonderful following and a good fan base here on your show. And that's what it's about, man. That's what we're all doing. putting our work out there and just promoting together and making people smile, bringing some good positive energy to the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We need that right now, don't we? Because there's a lot of things going on in the world where we need some bit of positivity and a bit of a break and have a good old chit chat and a conversation every now and then, don't we, about other subjects to bring us something good and something to look forward to.
That's it, 100%, man. Keep up that grind.
And same for you as well. But let's just check out your social media, because you can find my guest on Facebook at Real James Quinn, also on X as well, Real James Quinn, and on Instagram, Real James Quinn. Also on Threads, the same name as Real James Quinn. You're also on TikTok as well. Is that under the same name as well?
It is, yes. I don't get on there as often, but I'm starting to use it a little more, though I don't know how much longer we'll get to. Right? If the rumors are right, I don't know, but I'm starting to get the hang of it.
Good. That's good to hear. But I mean, you've always got the other platforms, because like you've got over 2,000 Facebook followers when I checked the other day. You've got 17,000 followers on X. You've got 7,000 on Instagram. So you already got a good fan base on all those platforms already. So you can always, hopefully, be able to boost all those posts onto those in case TikTok does get banned or something like that in the US.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're very fortunate to get the people we have following us, right? So, I actually want to take a moment to thank everybody that does take the time to follow our work and to interact with me, man. I enjoy that. So thank you to everyone out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the reason why people like to follow you, for instance, and follow your work is because they know that you will respond to comments and feedback and questions as well. So I think that's why you've got a good following on those platforms. I think people can see that you actually are engaging with them compared to some of the other people out there on the internet who've got a good following, but don't always have the time to respond to every comment or every question or whatever. So I think why people like you, for instance, could you somehow have time to do so in your busy life?
Well, I think we need to make time, it's hard to get to every, but I like to interact with people, and as long as people are respectful, man, I'll interact all day if I can. When I have the time, I'll take a few minutes and try to, I think if they have the time to ask you a question or to leave you a positive comment, you should at least have a quick moment to, respond back in a positive way too, continue to build that energy and let them know you appreciate the fact that they're following your work and supporting you,
Completely agree with you there. Speaking of your following, I have to say, especially on X, let's go with X, because of course you did work part of the.
I've had such a hard time calling it that. I'm still calling it Twitter.
I know, because it is still Twitter.com, but it's known as.
Because what are we doing? Are we Xing? What is it? We're not tweeting anymore, right? So what is? I don't even know how to say it now. I've been on Twitter since its inception. Since it opened.
2006, crikey, that's a long time. That is. To be part of a community from the get go and see it evolve and new owners and all that. So
and then it changes.
Yeah. I think like what was it, like 145 characters or something back in the day, and then it's like 270 now or something.
Something like that. Yeah. It just. I don't know. I mean, that's great. I guess everything's got to change. We got to evolve with it. But I'm just getting used to the whole X thing now.
Yes. Well, I mean, of course, you were part of the first episode of All Elite Wrestling's Rampage, weren't you? And how did that all happen? I mean, what a great opportunity, by the way, to be part of one of the, second biggest show on TV. To have the opportunity to be involved in that.
That was super cool. It was a lot of fun. I actually wasn't even anticipating that. I got a call from my agent, and they had said that Darby Allin was looking for some people, that could handle themselves on a skateboard and be a part of Darby's Derby. And I'm like, and then you get some good TV time. We created a hell of a music video, a heck of a promo video together. Yes. I'm sorry. For that first night, and I happened to be in town that day, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna pass this up. I enjoy Darby's work. He's a daredevil, right? I hadn't been on the board in a while, but I'm going. We're going for this one, and we went down and we tore up the streets of Pittsburgh, all over. The town's called Oakland in Pittsburgh, where the Peterson Event Center is, and Darby took some pretty massive hills, man. He's definitely got some balls.
Yes, he's quite the risk taker, isn't he?
We had a good time when we shot that all afternoon. So they had it ready the same day for the show, and It was a lot of fun. They had us all dressed up like Darby, and we tore up the streets on skateboards and face paint, and
Cool.
the whole city was looking at us. They didn't know what the heck was going on, but they put out a heck of a video that night, and I thought it made for a great first night of Rampage, and just to be a part of that history, man, I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And as you say, Rampage, been in there now for what, 3 or 4 years now. Time does go fast. I bet it still feel like it was yesterday when you had that great opportunity, and I hope that you get some more opportunities like that in the wrestling world.
Yeah, it seems like I get a couple of them a year that present themselves anymore. So, I look forward each time. I can't always do it because of my schedule, but when I can, I certainly love to make time to do it because it's, that's the kid in me coming out and having a good time with those guys because they're passionate about what they do, and I love interacting.
Is there a particular talent you would love to collaborate with from the world of wrestling, or you've not had a chance to do so, or a particular promotion you would like to do something with? Because of course you can check AEW out because you got TNA, NWA, WWE obviously out there, Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I've been a diehard Ring of Honor fan forever. The original Ring of Honor just brought so much life to the table. Would love to do anything, with that promotion, which is still part of AEW now too. So technically we were there, but that the original Ring of Honor, man, was really something to behold. Those guys were passionate, and they took a lot of risks, and they changed the game a lot. Interacting with WWE in some way, that would be a great time. But I'm actually really excited about the return of TNA.
Yes.
I'm kind of waiting for the 6-sided ring to come back. I keep hearing it's not.
No, it's not.
I love the original TNA, man, and they just did so much fun stuff.
Well, I think it's because that the wrestlers didn't like the 6-sided ring, and there was more damage being done to their bodies or something when using the 6 sides.
I can imagine.
But
yeah.
I mean, the reason why TNA was put on the map was because of that reason, wasn't it? Because I know when they started, It was a square ring like any other promotion, but when Jeff Jarrett went to, I think it was Mexico, and he saw the 6-sided ring, he thought, we have to have that. That'll make us different. Yeah. And that's what put them on the map. And I wish they did bring it back, because I know they did bring it back briefly, I think in like 2014 or something like that. So I mean, it would be great to see it back, because I know the fans want to see it back, and it'd be great because that would definitely bring back everything about TNA back on the map once again. But it's just hearing the name TNA once again with total non-stop action, being able to say that again in stadiums and being allowed to say that it's just great. It's like a refresher of a promotion it's almost died and got renamed and brought back some prestige, and now the name's back for good. So it's a cracking year so far for them.
Oh, it's been, who would have thought you would get to see it again after all this time? And it is back. And what they did with the X Division and tag team wrestling and just really bringing so much life into that area. Yes. I mean, they did a lot of good things, but just in particular, those two areas with the 6-sided ring really just made them so unique.
It did. They did, absolutely. I'm just happy, overjoyed that we not just get the name TNA back, but we also get the iconic theme tune, Cross the Line, as well. Makes a return as well.
And it's back. So that's pretty cool to see. So that would be fun.
I've never
to interact there.
I've never seen a promotion bring back one of those iconic themes in the history. So it's quite nice to see that. Of all the promotions, it's good to see Cross the Line once again, because of course it only lasted from like 2008 to 2010. Wasn't even that long of a time to get used to a song. It was just one minute it was there, next minute it was disappeared because of the Hulk Hogan era.
Yeah, and it just seemed like it was so much longer, I guess, because you were so into it and so passionate about it at the time, And what a great time to be a wrestling fan again, though, because there's so many promotions out there, anywhere from WWE all the way down to New Japan, all the independents. I mean, they just give you so many options. You can't keep up with them. I was at an NWA event in Cleveland a couple months back, man. That was a lot of fun too.
That's cool.
Because NWA has a resurgence, with Billy Corgan. They've done some really wonderful things over there now. So
especially
you have options if you're a fan.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And of course, Billy Corgan able to re-advertise the NWA. Of course, for many years, it's just been associated with many promotions, but not really its own company like it was years ago, back in like the good old days. So it's good to see that it's back as a brand and being able to compete against some of the other big boys in the professional wrestling. And it's good that you got a chance to go and watch them as well. So hopefully you might get a chance to do something with them already. I thought in the works
Yeah, that'd be
already.
fantastic. Yeah, there's so much kind of talent there too to be so many great people to work with. There's a lot of rising stars. So yeah, what a time to be a fan, huh?
No, absolutely. Now back to your ex. When you were starting to, I guess, work with many different people from the world of acting and as wrestlers, who's been some of the crazy followers you received, but you thought would never follow you, but have followed you?
Just in general, or in the wrestling
Yeah,
business, or just in there?
in general, yeah, from both roles. If you got any from both
Oh
roles.
man, yeah. There's been some over the years. John Cena. Oh, I mean, John Cena's been known to follow some people back, but you never expect that one, right?
Well, I'm still waiting for
what a
me.
class act that guy is. He's awesome guy.
Have you ever DM'd him or anything, or he be DM'd you or anything like that?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't DM a lot of people on my own. You know what I mean? If somebody reaches out to me and it looks like it's legitimate, I'll give it a read, and I don't go into my DMs a whole lot, unless it's something that looks legitimate. So I don't like to bother other people unnecessarily. But but yeah, I do. I'll try to interact a little bit, and like their things, and send a comment if there's something that looks really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've had like Dana Carvey's my favorite comedian. I looked, several years back, he started following me, and I thought that was a lot of fun because this is a guy that has made me laugh for decades now. So
and then you get to
it's just nice when you see that little light up on your social media, and you're like, hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like me on Instagram. I'm followed by the Boogeyman on Instagram.
Yeah. The Boogeyman. Here you go. There's a name I haven't heard in a minute. How's he doing?
I think he's doing okay. I think he's posting a lot of content, so he seems to be doing good. Yeah. I know.
He had a unique gimmick there.
Oh, exactly. One of a kind. But I mean, I know recently he was at the Booker T's promotion, Reality of Wrestling. He was part of their 30-man Battle Royal, which I believe comes out today on their YouTube channel. There's a little plug for Reality of Wrestling there.
Wow. Okay. So there's something else for me to check out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So many options.
There is. That's Houston, Texas for you, right? Booker T. Would he be somebody you would love to work with, Booker T? Because he's done a bit of acting as well, and
yeah. There's a guy with a ton of energy and a lot of charisma and just an athletic beast. Just somebody that brought a lot to the table in his day, and still does. In other ways now. But yeah, he's definitely a legend in so many different ways. Yeah, you would definitely not turn down the chance to the opportunity to collaborate.
Yeah, I know he's actually training to come back into the ring for Reality of Wrestling as well. So I know his story is pretty fit and healthy to get to hang up with his students of that company. Same with like Al Snow as well, OVW. He's doing big things down there.
Oh my God, yeah, I think Al's probably in the best shape of his life.
Yeah,
he looks fantastic. He's doing great things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree with that. And of course, he's had a lot of success with the Wrestlers on Netflix as well.
Yeah, that's doing really well, man. I'm glad to see that. And Al's such a big part of that. That's his thing.
Yeah.
And he's been pushing those guys really hard, and look at the results, right? Everybody there's just getting some great notoriety and doing some wonderful things. So, good for them. Yeah, let's keep that up. And Al's a good guy. He's done a lot of good things over the years.
He has. He's a good guy. He's been on this show as well a few years ago. I had a great conversation with Al Snow, the boss of AEW. So it was quite good chit chat we had with him. But yeah, back to what you were on about with your you've had your favorite comedian follow you. You've had the great John Cena who followed you. Of course, he follows one of my friends who's got like 30 followers on Twitter. And he's yet to follow me, yes. So still waiting, John Cena, for your follow.
Yeah, what a great guy, man. That's a class act. How many major stars do that for you? Right?
No, there's not many out there I can think of anyway. But
no, there really isn't. But then they are out there, but they're few and far between. And so when it happens, it's a special moment, right?
It is nice to be followed by somebody and look up to and be able to see what they're doing and able to interact even more with them because they're more likely to interact with you because of the fact that they follow you and you follow them, etc. So it's cool to see. But anybody else caught you off guard?
Oh man, every so often one will like one of my favorite pitchers of all time in baseball is AJ Burnett. And he was a Pittsburgh Pirate for a while here in my town, and everybody loved AJ Burnett. And so I got a random follow there one day, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because love watching that guy. So again, I'm all about energy, man. He just brought so much energy to the table for the Pittsburgh Pirates, for the Yankees, for other teams over the years. He's just he's been a beast. So that was a cool moment. And it does happen. Like I said, every so often you'll see one, and and it just makes you smile. You just know that you're doing something right, or you made them smile, or brought some positivity to the table, and get them to give you a second look. That's kind of cool. You
mentioned earlier on in our chat about working with the GOAT of acting, Michael Caine. Any funny story from when you two worked together?
No, you know what? It was mainly business. Just the guy is always 100% in character, and you don't want to really try to take a guy like that out of that character. At the moment, it was a short period of time, but it was time well spent. But just to absorb, to see how he interacts or how he approaches things, or how the way he'll tell you to face the camera, the approach that he takes to lining up to the camera, as opposed to maybe a normal veteran might be different. And actually, I've read Michael Caine's book. Prior to that, probably 7 or 8 times over the years prior to meeting him and working around him, and then watching the videos. So then those were things that he did in the 1970s that still stand true today. Just the way his whole approach to the business was just a lot of good stuff to absorb.
Yeah.
And you kind of just want to remain professional there, but there is that fan in you that wants to ask him 100 different things and have fun. But you got to present yourself as a professional too. So just the fact that I was there to absorb that, man, is something I'll never forget.
But I guess as well, he's been able to keep himself relevant in each decade as well, which is very
so many.
This is very hard to do as an actor, to keep themselves, I guess, relevant in so many different decades, from I think like the 50s to the present day. And I mean, if he wasn't an actor, he should be a comedian, because he is quite hilarious on many.
Oh, he is.
So it's just amazing that he could have had a two careers. He could have been an actor and a comedian if he wanted to.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah. And like I said, when I was with him, I got to see the serious business side of things, and that's what as an actor, that's, if you only get to see one side, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to absorb somebody's approach like that, and to take notes and to just learn from it. And but just he brings so much to that. I think he just recently retired not long ago, within the past year, right?
Apparently so. But apparently he's now saying that he's not retired, and that he's willing to do other roles if something came up which he finds juicy enough to be in. So he's kind of say he retired, but then now he's saying he's not retired. I think he's.
I don't know if we're ever really retired as actors. Right? Actors are like professional fighters. You always got one more in you. You think, you know what I mean? And in his case, I'm sure he's got 10 more in him.
Yeah.
But we always want to get another one in. And that's great. And that's to see him to do that. At his age, because he's probably acts like he's 20 years younger than he really is, and that's fantastic.
I've got to mention as well, because since you're on Michael Caine, is there a particular movie you've seen of his which is your favorite?
Oh, anything he does, man. I actually loved him. I loved him in the Dark Knight trilogy, man. I just thought that, like, he was my ideal Alfred. Just the way he took that iconic character and made it his own. Just everything he's done in New Jaws. Michael Caine is just a whole different element when he's in the room, But I actually did love him in the Dark Knight. If I had to pick one, man, I love that, the way he took on that role. Because a lot of handful of people played that over the years, but I don't think any brought the integrity and the charisma that Michael Caine did to that role. And I say the same thing about Michael Keaton. To me, he's my favorite Batman, because you distinctly see Bruce Wayne and Batman. And some of the other people that have played it, wow, that guy was a great Batman. He was a great Bruce Wayne. But you see a significant difference with Michael Keaton, like when he plays that character. So to me, that was that's a special moment. And that's Michael Caine. Whatever he touches turns to gold.
Yeah, No, I agree with you there. So let's talk about your goals. What are your goals for the rest of this year?
Oh, so many. Yeah, just to well, I'm working on a series right now called Strange Angels. It's a boxing series. So the
Oh
goal
yeah,
is to finish that show and get it out there. And to work on as many uh, awesome projects as I can along the way. Projects that will maybe take us next level. Projects that will get out there on big stages and to tell wonderful stories. I mean, I want to tell great stories throughout the year, both at the independent and the Hollywood level as they come. I look at everything, so I like to work. At the indie level, at the international level, at the Hollywood level. Like I just like to spread the work around and work with awesome people, working with new faces. I think that's a huge goal for this year. Is just getting out there and working with some new people again, like I did last year and the year before, and collaborating with new people, like we're doing here.
yeah.
Just getting out there and networking and collaborating with other talents and showing what we can do together. Because there's so many people out there that I haven't worked with, and I know that we can tell some wonderful stories together.
Yeah,
So if you're out there and you have a great story you want to tell, let's take a look at it. Let's tell it together.
there you go. There you go. And I'm sure you get some great offers as well and see what happens, I guess, as well. So wish you luck with your goals for this year. And, you know, you mentioned, maybe you mentioned it, but maybe earlier on in the show, but when when you are making, I guess, films or TV shows, of course, you need actors and other people to make all the stuff happen. And there might be people out there right now thinking, well, how do I go about reaching out to potential actors or actors reaching out to people who are making things to be like, do you need anybody else or I need you or something? How do you how do you find potential people to be involved with your projects? And do you have a certain site you use, or do you just do a random search or something, or without giving out, of course, too many secrets if it's a
Sure.
secret?
No, and I mean I think the easiest thing to do with any professional talent is to reach out to their agent, a business manager, an agent, somebody that can get a hold of them, pitch your project to them, your idea, and just and see if there's any feedback. That's the most professional way, as opposed to just jumping into people's DMs that you don't know and just because you might make them nervous. And this way they get a chance to take a look at it, and if they want to pursue it further, then then the agency will come back to you and say, hey, you know what, this he really likes what you got to say here. We'd like to investigate this a little closer with you, and maybe we can do something together. Maybe the numbers are right, and we can collaborate together. But if it's somebody we don't know or haven't worked with, I tend to try to go through an agency.
Yeah.
And if they go on IMDb or IMDb Pro as an actor, a lot of times you'll see an agency there, and that's the most professional way to handle it. That way, the agency knows they're getting it from somebody legit before they turn it over to that talent,
Gotcha.
and then the talent has a chance to take a look at it and say, yeah, you know what, I'd like to work with them, or maybe I'm a little tied up right now, but I appreciate the offer.
Yeah.
So you don't know until you try, right?
No, you don't. Exactly. I always like take risks on this show by reaching out to people and seeing what the feedback will be, because usually I will say they won't come on the show, and I'm very surprised that they will say yes. So, like yourself, for instance, because you've got a big following
Sure.
compared to my little following, so so it's nice that you took your time out, your busy day. Before we hang
No, I'm
this
happy
up,
to do it.
before we can hang this up, any advice you would give to anybody who is wanting to maybe become an actor or I guess script writer or a filmmaker?
Yeah, make sure you want it. First off, do a lot of soul searching. Because it's a lot of sacrifice along the way. And you have to want it almost as much as you want to breathe. You know what I mean? And because that's how you get results. Some people will put one foot in the water and hope that things work out for them, and it doesn't. It's the kind of business where you constantly have to chase it, and you have to put yourself out there, and you got to be ready to be told no. It happens a lot. It's okay. You get told no, you get knocked down, you get up and you try the next one. It's a fighter's mentality. But somebody will open that door eventually. You can be told no 100 times, but I always say, you could tell me no a million times, but I'm only one yes away from success. So keep pounding the pavement and make sure you want it. It's a long journey. It's a long road, but I guarantee you'll open a lot of wonderful doors and create a lot of great opportunities for yourself along the way if you give it everything you got.
Yeah, I perfect advice on that. So hopefully that'll help anybody out there who is wanting to be a potential actor or filmmaker or whatever it might be in the industry. That might go a long way for you. Big thank you again to my guest today for coming on the show, James Quinn. Thank you so much for your time. Again, you can find my guest on Facebook, Real James Quinn, X, Real James Quinn, and also on Instagram, Real James Quinn, as well as Threads. I was going to include Threads, but it's a bit long, your name, so I couldn't actually fit all of them on. It would be a bit too compact, so I had to leave off Threads, unfortunately. But you can find them through Threads on your official Instagram account. So make sure you do follow him, share him about, tell him about James' work, and hopefully you might see some new projects that you might be interested in from the world of acting and the world of wrestling, or even both, because he's a great guy. And I hope as well, by the way, that you will come back on the show again soon when you have another project you're releasing. Could be that when you talk about with the boxing series you're almost finishing. You could always come back and talk to us about that and all the ins and outs of how hard it's been to bring it all together.
Yeah, no, Edward, I'd be happy to, man. I appreciate you having me on today, and I'd love to come back on and talk with you anytime, man. You guys have been wonderful.
No, actually, thank you so much for your time. And I did see a little like button appear on your screen earlier on while we were chatting. I see it just came up. You got some great graphics on your side of things, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we try to,
Yeah, 'cause I didn't know you could do that on Zoom, having graphics. So, I learned something new today. I don't know if that's through Zoom or something you're able to do on your side of things, but I've seen a little like button which does appear on your side of things. I don't know how you did that, but
I didn't actually. I think it's Zoom that does that.
oh, really?
Yeah, I pretty much. I think I see what you see. You know what I mean? I'm not doing any of it.
Because I didn't press anything on Zoom, but something happened and you saw it live on the show, so I thought it was you, but obviously it wasn't James after all.
That's funny. I'm seeing it in real time with you, but that's awesome, man. Maybe they're evolving as well,
Yeah, I thought you got like when you got a radio control button, you got some cool graphics, you can press up a button. I thought you got something like that on your desk and you pressed a button and it did something wild, but no.
Nothing quite so elaborate on my end, man. I got to look into that now.
Love it. Well, it's been a pleasure, and if you have enjoyed my episode with James this evening, make sure to smash that like button, share the video around, tell more about my guest James, and tell more about how this is the place to be for great conversations, questions which hopefully James has never even heard of before coming on my show. And as well, if you've got any future questions you want to leave for James, leave them in my comment section below, because they will be asked the next time James is on the show. And I don't think it's going to be that long before he's back on the show, because he's got an exciting project he wants to get done and finished, and I can't blame him for that. So I'm sure he'll be back on to talk all things about that project revolving about being a boxer. So, I can't wait to talk to him about that when that is ready for release. Let me see the trailer for that to come out. And until the next episode, which is not going to be long because only a few days to go before it comes out, so I hope you all enjoyed that when it comes out. But until then, make sure to also smash that subscribe button. If you're new around here and like the content, we've got over 236 subscribers. Thank you to the new 2 subscribers we've received in the last, I'd say, 48 hours or so. So much appreciated to you. But yeah, until then, the next episode, whenever that will be, enjoy the rest of your morning, night, evening, or afternoon.